Hello, everybody. My name is Mr. Boy. I haven't recorded in ages. I only did a few videos like a few years ago, anyways. But I wanted to make this video because I've seen lots of people ask for red teams, and the responses that get offered are like, well, if it's Gen 1, use this team, or if it's Gen 2 through 4, use this team, or if it's Gen 5, use this team. And over the span of a few months, I was like, I want to create one team that beats all of Red's teams. And this is my final version. I've went through a few iterations of it. I had Zapdos on one. But this is my final one. It's fairly cheap to make. It's not exactly brain dead. So, and I'll explain this as I go through, but like, depending on what team you're facing, you actually have to put in some thought, and I'll try to go through my thought process of what goes into that thought and like how to make your way through. So if you're looking for like a super easy brain dead Red beats all, beat all of Red's teams with one team, like this isn't it. I mean, some of the teams that he brings, it's just a very easy strategy. But for instance, Gen 1 or Gen 5, they're very hard to maneuver. Requires a lot of thought. I'll give you some examples of like what you should save certain things for and whatnot. This team is not that expensive to make. Most of these are budget mons. The only one that I have as like pretty good stats is Dragonite, but I'm not even sure you need that. I just did it out of precaution because I didn't really calc anything. But anyways, with that, I will start off. I'll just explain the team first, and then I'll go through and explain each gen and how to beat it. So first of all, you have Metagross. Metagross with Choice Scarf. Nature does not matter as long as it's not a negative speed nature. You should be fine. For EVs, I just did speed and attack, but you don't even need attack because you don't use him as an attacker. Your IVs do not matter except for your speed. Your speed must be 31. It probably could be less. I mean, there's probably some optimizations for all of this that I didn't think of, but I just kind of did the basics. So yeah, 31 is fine. Your moves, you only really care about two of them. Trick is your most important one, and Stealth Rock is like a secondary. Sometimes you manage to get a Meteor Mash off, but realistically, you're only ever clicking Trick and sometimes Stealth Rock. So that's Metagross. You've got Cloyster. I use Adamant. You could probably use any sort of attacking nature that's not Brave, because he just is not meant to really take any hits. So if you get like a Rash one or something with a plus attack nature, it won't matter too much. So your next one, your EVs, this actually does matter. Attack and speed. Your IVs, attack and speed. All the rest don't matter. You want to be holding an air balloon, which I will explain why air balloon when we get into the how to beat the teams. Your moveset. This matters. All four matter. The only one that I PP max is Icicle Spear because I use him for other things, but you don't even need to PP max any of these. So you've got Icicle Spear, Drill Run, Shell Smash, and Substitute. Next is Golem. I use Adamant, but you could use any attack nature. In this case, speed does not matter, so you could even run Brave if you really cared. You probably could find a use for having him at full speed Adamant, but I don't use him for that. So as long as he has an attack nature, your EVs, all you care about is attack. I have 31 attack and 31 speed for IVs, but as you can see, the EVs aren't maxed, so 31 speed does not matter. It's just the 31 attack that matters. For your moves, the only two that you really care, or I should say three, that you really care about are Earthquake, Explosion, and Rock Blast. I prefer Rock Blast over Stone Edge just because it has a higher chance of hitting. But I only ever click that maybe once in a blue moon. Stone Edge I just had as an extra slot. You can slot in Rock Climb here if you don't have the Rock Climb Ocarina. I do, so I don't care, but if you don't have it, this is a good spot to slot it just so you have it. And held item Custap, very, very important. One thing about this team is that if you end up using these items, just make sure you don't run out of them, because then you'll fight red and lose because you didn't remember to re-equip the items. Next we have Crobat. Oh, and I should mention, that's awkward. I guess I have to do something in order to not be disconnected. Anyways, ignore that awkward blip. We'll just, like I said, I don't really create videos, so we are learning as we go. Metagross ability, Clear Body, I'm pretty sure that's the only one, unless you have hidden ability, but ability doesn't matter. Cloyster ability does matter, Skill Link. Golem ability matters, Sturdy, very important. So for Crobat, I run Adamant. This time, it actually does kind of matter your nature. Attack, speed, EVs. You probably should have 31 speed, but I manage with 30. As for his moves, he has... Brave Bird is probably the only one that really matters. All the other ones I just have because Cross Poison is stab, Crunch hits like Espeon. But realistically, you're clicking Brave Bird 99% of the time when you use him. Infiltrator is very, 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 very important. If you run any other ability on him, he's useless. So Infiltrator matters, and then Choice Band. Dragonite. I run Adamant. This kind of matters because you actually don't want to take damage with him, because when you use him, you'll be using him as a Dragon Dance setup. So, what you want to do is you want to run Adamant, 252, 252. The IVs, I made a pretty good one. You could probably get away with making him cheaper, like less stat-wise for your defenses. Attack and speed obviously have to be 31. I don't really know what the calcs are. I've never had a situation where I lived at like 2 HP and it mattered, so if y'all decide you want to look into it and create something cheaper, this is going to be your expensive boy. Everything else is fairly cheap, but this one's going to be your expensive one unless you find some way to budget it. You could probably get away with budgeting it, but my point, I'm not sure that it matters too much. Your moves, all of these matter. Dragon Claw, Fire Punch might not matter that much, but Dragon Claw and Extreme Speed are your attack moves. Dragon Dance matters a lot. I PP maxed Extreme Speed just in case I end up needing more than 5, but I don't think you really need to. Multiscale, very important. Make sure that it is multiscale. I run Life Orb. I'm sure there's another item that you could use, but that's what I run. And then lastly, you have Lucario. Again, Adamant. I don't think nature matters too much as long as it's an attack nature and not brave. Because he runs Focus Sash. Realistically, you throw him out when you think he just needs to take a hit and kill something. 252, 252, 31, 31. I run Inner Focus. I don't really think ability matters, but it might matter. So I've never thought about it too much. I just kind of had it like this, but if you're just copying this team, you might as well just do Inner Focus. Close Combat, Extreme Speed, Swords Dance. Bullet Punch is just a 4th slot. You could probably find something, but I've never used Bullet Punch on this team. These are the 3 that you care about the most. As you can see, I only added 1 PP to each. So, anyways, that's the setup for the team. Yeah, so now let's go and talk about all the different gens for Red. For those of you who don't know, Red, the first time you fight Red, he'll always be his Gen 1 team. And then any further time you fight him, it could be anywhere of his Gen 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Gen 1 and Gen 5 always start with a random lead, but Gens 2, 3, and 4 always start with the same exact lead. So you can it's a lot more predictable if you're fighting those teams. Your Gen 1 and your Gen 5 teams are going to be the ones where it's like, you got to really think. Gen 4 to some extent, and I'll explain that in a second. Gen 2 and Gen 3 are really free. They're easy. You win automatically. I should mention you always lead Metagross because of Gens 2 and 3. So if it's a Gen 2 lead, the lead will be Gliscor. And all you have to do in order to win, you click Trick turn 1 with Metagross. Turn 2, you click Stealth Rock, hope you get it up. If he's still alive, you just keep clicking Stealth Rock. If he doesn't die, I can't remember if he lives or not. After Metagross dies, you switch to Cloyster. You click Substitute once and Shell Smash 3 times, and then you press Icicle Spear and kill everything with Icicle Spear. Substitute is important because Tyranitar will use Thunder Wave and it will fail if you have Substitute up. It also is a redundancy in case you mess up for some reason. And that's it. That's how you beat Gen 2. I have played once, and I don't know why this happened, but I've played once where he switched out after I tricked him, but I've never had that happen again. I don't know if there was like a programming error or if I did something, but yeah, Gen 2, super easy. Gen 3 is exactly the same thing. He leads with Swampert, you click Trick, then you click Stealth Rock, then you switch to Cloyster, click Substitute, Shell Smash 3 times, and then you press Icicle Spear and you win. Gen 4 is a little bit trickier because the lead will be Staraptor, and Staraptor's entry move is Whirlwind. And that way, so that means that you can't just easy peasy switch out. Realistically, what you want to do is you want to get Golem out. If Golem comes out on the switch, you're set. You just click Rock Blast, hope you don't miss, kill Staraptor, and then he'll send out something like Torterra or Garchomp. Kill the Golem, and then you can go into Metagross, Trick into Cloyster, set up, and sweep. If you get something like Crobat or Lucario or Dragonite, you can always just switch into Golem. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. You could always just stall and let him kill it and then throw out Golem. But you definitely don't want Cloyster to come out. If Cloyster comes out, you have to switch into something. You can kind of play around with it. Gen 4 is pretty easy to cheese, even if you kill Staraptor with one of these three. You just have to wait for Garchomp or Torterra to come out and then throw out Metagross and sweep. Use your brain. It's not too hard to find a way to do that, but sometimes it can be a little tricky. It's worth noting, Empoleon, the only reason I have Drill Run is for Empoleon, because Icicle Spear will not kill it. And also, if you don't manage to get rocks up, Infernape does have a Focus Sash, so you will be getting your Substitute broken by Cloyster, or Cloyster Substitute broken. But neither of those things matter too much. One of the few ways that you potentially lose in any of these teams is if Drill Run misses, because it is a 95% accuracy. Same with Golem. If you click Rock Blast and you miss, that's one of the few ways that you could lose, but it's still savable. It's just kind of awkward. And with Cloyster, if you miss Drill Run, you just click it again because he's not gonna do anything. You'll have a Substitute up. That's why we do Substitute as well. Like I said, redundancy in case something happens. Now on to the hard ones. We'll start with Gen 1. Gen 1 is really awkward because... And Gen 5. They're both awkward because you don't know what he's going to lead. In both of these gens, Metagross, your goal with Metagross is to just set rocks and die. He's not really useful for anything else. You know, you don't want to switch into something else because he's not useful. Cloyster is pretty much useless as well. I would not look to try and get a Shell Smash. He's mostly just like switch-in fodder in case you need to save something for later. Against Gen 1, Crobat is hugely important because of Infiltrator. Snorlax will set up Reflect, and with the Reflect up and his high special defense, he's like really hard to kill with anything except for Crobat. Brave Bird will do, if not all of his health, like 80 to 90%, and then you can kill him with something else, like Lucario. Crobat is also super good because he's really fast, so he can come in and kill stuff like Venusaur when Sun's not up. You have two extreme speed users, so when Venusaur has Sun up, you can extreme speed it, and or like Lucario can come in and Swords Dance and then extreme speed. Dragonite, you want to send out Dragonite against Blastoise if it uses Water Spout. I believe the play is, I haven't done this in a while, so I apologize if this is just wildly wrong, but I believe the play is to extreme speed once so that he's down to like 10% health, and then his Water Spouts will do very little damage, and you can just Dragon Dance to get +6 and sweep. Against both Gen 1 and Gen 5, you want to save Golem for Pikachu. You always want to swap in Golem when Pikachu comes out. Sometimes Pikachu will use like HP Ice or HP Grass or something on the switch in and bring him down to 1, but that's why we have Custap Berry, because you can just Earthquake it next turn. If by some miracle it uses an electric move, you get an Earthquake, and then you can explode next turn into whatever he sends out and get either a free kill or something really low. Charizard is not really an issue. It dies to a lot of stuff really easily. Espeon is kind of not an issue because like Crobat will kill it really easily, Dragonite kills it really easily, it just dies to a lot of stuff. But your biggest issues are like Snorlax and Blastoise, and Venusaur. Like I said, if you play smart, not an issue, but sometimes it can be a little awkward. If I've had games where Golem's out against Charizard and I miss Rock Blast twice, and that's like one of the few scenarios in which I lose with this team, outside of just like playing bad, because sometimes my brain shuts off and I'm like, what do I do? So if I'm in my right mind and playing well, I won't lose unless something like that happens. Okay, that's Gen 1. Gen 5 is probably the hardest one, just because it's like super awkward for a lot of reasons. You want to save Crobat. Another reason why Infiltrator is really important is because Crobat will kill Serperior after it gets sent out, because Serperior will set up a substitute. If by some miracle you manage to get Cloyster set up, then Cloyster will also do it. But Cloyster is really almost impossible to set up against Gen 1 and Gen 5, so that's why I have Crobat. You can Brave Bird into the substitute and it'll kill Serperior. Again, save Golem for Pikachu. If you're lucky, Golem will also kill something like Excadrill. I usually end up needing Crobat to kill Emboar. Emboar is a little awkward though because it comes out with Roar, so if you set up with like Dragonite, then you lose your setup when it comes out. Hydreigon is not too bad. You can live, it knows Draco Meteor, so it'll use Draco Meteor on something, and then you can live at full health with Multiscale, a -2 Draco Meteor. So you can set up potentially a little bit on that as well. Same deal with Gen 1 though. Metagross is useless. You click rocks and then you die. Cloyster you kind of want as like a switch in. So like a good example of that is you send out Crobat to kill Serperior, and then he sends out like Excadrill. Like you don't want to use Crobat against Excadrill, so you send out Cloyster to die, and then you can send out something like Lucario or Golem to kill Excadrill. Samurott is a little awkward because its entry move is block, so depending on what's out, you can get a little screwed over there, but nothing you can't work around, like I said, if you play smart. And I think that's about it. General information, you know, if you're fighting red for the first time, always bring a Richest Charm and a Battle Point Charm because you get like 3 times as much as fighting him on a rerun. Yeah, that's about it. Alpha obviously does not matter. Hidden ability on Golem doesn't matter because you're going to run Sturdy. Yeah, anyways, I hope this was helpful for somebody. Feel free to share this. I made this video to be public. If you guys have another iteration of a team that like can beat red, all 5 of his teams in one. I heard somebody in one of my discords I'm in said they had one. Um, feel free to share that if you feel inclined or not. But I just haven't seen any public teams that managed to beat all 5, and I figured this would be a helpful guide for people, especially because now you need an incubator. You get an incubator from beating red, so it's important to beat red, and you can get some easy money off of red just by doing this. It takes like, in terms of climbing the mountain and fighting him, it takes like between 5 and 10 minutes each time, and you get a pretty good amount of money. So, anyways, hope you guys get something out of this, and hope everyone has a good rest of whatever day it is for them.